Hello and welcome to another episode of Scouser Tommies. I'm Jim Boardman. Welcome also to Reid. We're here today to talk about, as usual at this time of year, there's loads of games to talk about that have just happened, loads of games coming up. There's draws in competitions that we can talk about. There's a couple of injuries. There's, as always, something to laugh about from that lot across the park. Let's get started. Maybe on the news that's fresh today, maybe go ahead with that, the Champions League draw. So as soon as you saw who the teams could be, you knew straight away it was going to be Liverpool against PSG. It just felt like it was always going to happen. And that's what's happened. As far as Arne Slot's concerned, yeah, he said it's going to be a challenge, but he welcomes the challenge. And some quotes from on the official site is just talking about how well they're doing at the moment. They're top of the division, just like we are, and they've beaten teams the likes of Man City, Girona, Salzburg, Stuttgart. They're on a long unbeaten run. And so what he says is that tells us all we need to know about the challenge that we'll face. But he says it's also a challenge we look forward to, knowing that we also fully deserve to be in the last 16. As far as I'm concerned, Jay, I think what we need to do is get into... First leg is going to be in Paris, by the way. Second leg's at home. Best way round. I think the best thing for us to do is to go back to Paris and put things right from last time we went to Paris.
Yeah, not the greatest memories of that city in terms of football. And yeah, you've pretty much right. It was very evident. I think we weren't going to get a nice draw, and that's not crying it in. You finish top of this mega Champions League thing, and there was not really a benefit to it. You could have finished anywhere in that top 8. You look at Villa, finished somewhere in that top 8, and they got Club Brugge, and okay, they could progress from that and then face the winner of our tie, but they still got the playoff round off and ended up with with all due respect to Club Brugge, an easier draw. And Arsenal likewise, they finished somewhere in the top 8, got the playoff round off, and ended up with PSV. Fair play, they got past Juventus this week, but they struggled against our kids and reserves.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, like, you finish top, the only real benefit is monetary, because obviously you've won more games, and there's a high reward value for winning the games in this new format and setup. But realistically, there was no overall benefit to finishing top or 7th in that progression part. Obviously, the aim was you miss out the playoff round, which some teams like Man City, 4 fouls. Again, you finish anywhere in that mad, what was it, 16 teams or something like that, and you'd end up with a draw like Real Madrid. And then, other teams, it was like Sporting versus Dortmund. You would have took either of them like at a drop of a hat. It's a crazy format. All it is really is to generate more revenue. And obviously just it seems like every other week there's Champions League football. So, it's clearly designed to keep it fresh, where like obviously the old format you finished just by Christmas, and then you probably didn't come back until roughly this time of year, at the end of February, early March.
And you might have been in the Europa in those days as well if you hadn't done well in the Champions League. But
yeah, the consolation prize of dropping down. But like it's not an easy competition to win. As we know. We happen to just be the best in England at doing it. But it's a tough competition, and obviously the draw, if we'd have finished where Barcelona finished, you'd probably say would be more favourable as you'd have finished second. The cynic in me sort of thinks, well, the draw has kept apart Real Madrid and Barcelona in terms of either side of the draw. However, it's dumped all the English sides on one side, in those Villa and Arsenal. So, the old random draw generator and them little plastic pots, ball things that they play with.
Balls, I think David Moyes calls them.
Yeah, he did.
I think that's what he was on about at the time. It might have been something else, though.
Yeah, we'll come back to Dave later. It does leave a lot of questions, but it also, looking at the calendar for what we've got, we've got those two fixtures now wedged in March, with the one league fixture against Southampton at home, and then some trip to Wembley as well that we've got to squeeze in. But obviously we've got league games crammed into February, left, right, and centre, which we're in the midst of now. So yeah, it's a nice welcome distraction, and you just hope the lads and ladies who are going to make the trip out there to support the Reds don't suffer the same sort of misfortune in terms of treatments by the French authorities that we had to endure last time. And I would hope that the club and all the supporters boards are doing as much as they can in terms of trying to work with them to make it a more pleasurable experience. Obviously there won't be as many, but still, those people who do make that journey, fair play to them, and they need to go out there and be safe.
Yeah, I think, you hope that they've got more about them to actually organise this, because really, at the end of the day, they do these kind of games all the time, don't they? There's a home team and some away fans, and they have them all season. I don't know what kind of numbers to get to league games and things, but I'm sure they have some big domestic games, and obviously all the European games they have, and it's just going to be a small number of Liverpool fans this time, whereas I suppose last time it would have been, well, let's just say 50-50. Normally with Liverpool it's more like 60-40, isn't it? We always seem to somehow get our hands on more of the so-called neutral tickets, but I don't know. Against Madrid, I think it's probably pretty close, pretty even-handed. But yeah, there was nothing even-handed about the authorities that day, and hopefully, yeah, as you say, yeah, they've A, learned from that, and B, it's something they can just do. They do every week, and it shouldn't be a problem for them. But yeah, I agree. Everyone just stay safe. That's the sort of downside to all of this, really, that we even have to talk about that even happened last time. But the thing is, I think if there's one fan base is aware of these things, it's us, and I'm sure the people that are lucky enough to get out there will be keeping an eye out for stuff. It's as you say. I mean, it's all a bit of a pantomime. I think having the extra games, having the huge mega league and all the rest of it. It doesn't matter. When Liverpool first won the league, it was all knockout, home and away games. You'd play some real lowly team maybe in the first round or in the early round, your first involvement. And at the end of the day, to get all the way to the final, you've got to beat the best other than yourselves. Only you've got to be better than everyone else, and that's no different now. I suppose with group stages and things like that, you get a little bit of a second chance maybe from time to time, but now it's proper knockouts, no different to how it ever was. Whether whoever ends up being the best team, whether you play them now or in the final, you've still got to get past them one way or another. That is, as you say as well, looking at the fixtures for March as well, it's a bit of a rest in some ways in some parts of March, because there's at least for the club, at least for us maybe not the players, because there's international breaks, but there is that little gap of about a week, I think, between the Newcastle game, which is a midweek match, and the PSG first leg, because we haven't got a game that weekend, so it's like a week off. And we need it, don't we? Because Liverpool are starting to see some of these injuries now that all the other clubs have, that we never, ever get a mention about whenever we do have injuries. But I think, as you said before we came on air, I think, we can talk about Conor Bradley being injured. Hopefully not too long, but clearly not a quick thing. Gomez is out for the season, unfortunately, by the looks of it. Cody Gakpo, they keep him fairly quiet on that one. You never know, maybe he'll be surprised for the weekend, but, more likely Newcastle's his target, but we'll see. And then, as you said before we came on air, there's a player that might as well be injured at the moment. I was saying, like, what have they done with the real one of him? It doesn't seem that long ago since he was scoring 2 late goals and winning us a game, and that's something Slot has kind of said in praise of him. As he's explained in the most recent quotes I've seen from Slot, he's talking about what a chance is, and he says it's a chance. It doesn't mean you are actually going to score. But he wasn't great against Wolves, and he was not great against Villa. This is the closest I've been to kind of saying I'm finished with Darwin, and I don't think I am yet, but he has really, really got to sort his head out, hasn't he? I think Slot pointed out that after that miss, his head went down and he wasn't the same old Darwin, but he just hasn't looked like Darwin for the last couple of games anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it's a secret really. Like, he's not going to be at Liverpool after the summer. I think most fans have come to that realization. Sadly, he's just not cutting the mustard. And it's a shame because we all seen at the beginning, there was raw materials to work with, and a lot of fans, backed him. Some fans quickly dismissed him. And over the length of time, those who have backed him and sort of, well, let's give the lad time. There is stuff to work with. We're seeing improvements. There was developments, especially last season in this game. But at the end of the day, a striker's couldn't see his goals, as they say, and sadly for him, he's just not putting them away. And people will point to the fact that players who aren't playing so regularly, so the players that come to mind for me, like Harvey Elias and Federico Chiesa, and maybe even Costas Tsimikas with Endo, they're on the cusp of the team in terms of getting minutes here and there. They're literally feeding off scraps, and then they're dropped in for games, and you kind of expect them to do something, but then also you got to think, well, they're going to be a little bit rusty. Plymouth was inexcusable in terms of the performance as a whole, but lads are being given opportunities. You kind of want to see a little bit of something from them. We sort of did see that with Chiesa in PSG. You thought, well, there's something there.
Yeah.
And then flattered to deceive since, we've barely seen him, and, you kind of get the feeling Arnie Slot doesn't really fancy him at all, and, he's got his trusted lieutenants in terms of who he goes to, but at the same time, we've got a lot of games squeezed in. I think it's 5 and 15 days that we're in the midst of right now. He should be able to turn to players and put them in and say, give me 60, and he'll give you a good 60, or you look to the bench and go, right, half an hour, give me your best for half an hour. Make me put you in the team next week. And we're just not getting it. And, sadly for Darwin, it seems as though he's so emotionally involved. He's still a young fella, really, isn't he? Like 24, 25, something like that. So, he's probably still got a bit of, actual maturing to do as a person. And footballers kind of get thrust into the limelight at such a young age. He's moved around. He's come from Uruguay. He's been in Spain. He's been in Portugal. Now he's in England. It's got to be a bit of a whirlwind in terms of, you got to grow up really fast, and maybe he's just not grown up quick enough, especially to be at the level that we desire. But again, we've sort of seen him go backwards this season. He was odd glimpses, and we thought maybe, the Brentford game a few weeks ago, could that be the moment that, triggered them on and thought, right, if you get another 5 or 6 goals out of him this season, 3 or 4 off the bench, maybe he gets the odd start here and there when we need him to, and he gets a couple in that moment, then you think, well, we know he's a lost cause in terms of a long-term project in the future of Liverpool, but we're getting something out of the player that we've got there, here and now. But that missed the night, it seems to get really emotionally on top of him. And then I think that then affects his game. And obviously, we heard the comments from Slot. We've seen the pictures where he was so upset he trudged off. And I think it doesn't really matter what you are as a person, what sort of game you've had as a player. I think especially away from home, more than anything, you should always go and appreciate the fans and just give them a little token of appreciation. Thanks for making the effort to getting down here. Hard-earned money and all that. It's not cheap to travel and follow Liverpool around the country and Europe these days. So, it costs nothing for the player to go over and just show a little bit of sign of appreciation. But little things like that are picked up on, and Liverpool in the media create headlines and things like that. The media will just run wild with and create an absolute monster out of it.
Right, the Reds, it's Jack here, and that was a clip from one of Anfield Index's audio podcasts. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you do like, share and subscribe to keep up to date on all things LFC. We record around 100 audio podcasts every month, with our shows featuring match-going fans, top journalists, professional analysts, and even Liverpool legends along the way, with the great Dane himself, Jan Molby, joining us every single week. If you want to listen to all our podcasts for free, head over to anfieldindex.com/podcasts. Our audio shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Anfield Index. Or if you prefer to listen to all our podcasts in full and without any ads, why not head over to AI Pro today to check it out now at AnfieldIndexPro.com. If you want to get involved in the great growing community of Liverpool fans, check out the Anfield Index Discord. The link is in the description. Do get involved with that, from Reds around every corner of the globe. For now, Reds, hope you enjoyed this video.